green flag is out. Trying to get the power down as we come off the line here at a very wet Interlagos and speeding towards the first corner. A long left-hander into fourth gear will just baby the throttle as we swing it through there. Same into the second corner. Spray picking up from the cars in front now as we increase speed down the back straightaway. Flat out in fifth gear. Heading towards the third turn, we'll try to spot the braking. Down into fourth, down into third, braking plenty early, but don't want to run it too far wide in these type of conditions. Spray lightening up now. So we'll get the car set up to go down the hill and towards a small chicane. Down into third, down into second, and now set up for a long left-hand corners. Cars in front stacking up, trying to run really wide. Aquaplaning there. Easy to light up the rear tires and just loop the car. Now equally as long right-hand corner and up the hill. And set ourselves up for another straightaway. And work towards the Curva del Sol. Spray now really high for the cars in front, and aquaplaning as we head into Curva del Sol. Long right-hand corner, normally taken very, very fast. And this will work towards the straightaway. And for those of you trying to figure out how this is Interlagos, so this is where this version of the circuit meets with the modern circuit. This is the 1976, I guess, race from the mid to late 70s version of Interlagos. And this is Automobilista 2, one of the newer sims on the market. So we'll bring it down to first gear, see if we can maybe make a pass, but the conditions are just so bad. Working through the normal left and right twists for the Interlagos circuit. Barely touching the throttle, barely touching the brake, just letting the car coast around these conditions. Almost spitting out there. So now we'll head into second gear down the hill towards the last real corner on the circuit. And this a bit faster of a corner in this version of the circuit. Longer left-hand corner that will lead us onto the straightaway, but running a little bit wide. See if we can get the throttle down and pick up some speed here to end our first lap. So not picking up any real positions, but also not hitting the wall. As two cars enter the pits there, maybe with some damage. So we'll start our second lap. These two first left-hander corners really fast. Just sliding through them. Normally almost flat out. With a good setup, I bet you could take them flat out. And then towards turn 3, want to brake plenty early in these conditions. Let the engine do a lot of the braking so I don't lock up the tires. This part of the track is a little more dry actually, which is very interesting. The rain system in Automobilista 2, I have to commend. It definitely gives the impression and is a heck of a challenge to race in. Probably some of the hardest driving, even compared to like a GPL. This is very, very difficult to keep the car on the track. So the track over here is not too bad. Not a lot of spray from the cars in front. Or no spray really. I've really lost the cars in front, so my job to try to catch them again. So we'll work up towards the hill. And again down a straightaway. It took me quite a long time to really, I guess, learn how this version of Interlagos goes. The corners all seem to flow together, but it is a heck of a circuit. Tracks these days don't have as many medium and fast high-speed corners as this does. There really only is a few slow corners on the whole circuit, this being one of them, the second gear left-hander that leads us on to the modern-day track. And this is not even the longest version of Interlagos. I believe the first few years it was open, there was a longer circuit than this. But this is the late 70s version of the track that Automobilista 2 is bringing us. Automobilista 2, a sim built, I believe, on the Project Cars engine, but built to be much more of a sim and extension on the first Automobilista game. And one that I think, especially the first Automobilista, was not as popular as it really should have been. And I think it's due to the content that's in the sim. This is some of the historic content that it has, but it really focuses on South American racing and a lot of modern day stuff. This South American, Brazilian stock cars and other tin top cars from South America, and lots of tracks from this area that, frankly, I think a lot of people don't actually know. And the sun dipping out now, hopefully trying the circuit a bit. We can really put some speed into the laps here. Ending the second lap, we're just doing a quick 5-lap race here at Interlagos. I've been trying this sim out a bit and seeing what it has to offer. All these newer sims that are coming out, I think since really R Factor 2, have had some kind of historic content. And they always seem to do parts of it really, really well and other parts just not well. And I have to say, somewhat the same here for Automobilista. The raw driving experience is awesome, as you can see. But it does not have the historical aspect that I think makes a sim like a Grand Prix Legends so much fun. With Automobilista 2, you're going to get a great impression of driving a 60s or 70s F1 car on some pretty authentic circuits. The sun's out in full bloom now, so hopefully the track is drying out. You're going to get the impression of racing the cars around these circuits, but you're not going to feel like you're racing in the actual season. For something like that, you would really need a Grand Prix Legends type sim, and I just wish that, I know with licensing it's really just not possible these days, but I wish some of these sims could just do a full-fledged racing experience. So we're pulling in now a little bit on the cars in front. We're still on wet tires, but the circuit is wet in a lot of spots. It's a short race, so I don't think we'll be pitting for tires at all. Still kicking up a little spray in front. Down into first gear though for this right-hander. And kicking up the spray with the bright blue skies does give a pretty awesome look. One thing Automobilista does really well is definitely the graphics. Coming around to end our third lap, just 2 more to go. Flat out down the front straightaway here at Interlagos. Cars dipping into the spray, into the wet. Oh, a couple of them jumping into the pits, so we're gonna get some easy positions here. Car just scraping the bottom of the circuit as we dip through turns 1 and 2. Set up this race specifically to have these changing conditions, just to show off how much fun that is. Something that not a lot of other sims do or do very well. The big wings on these mid-70s cars blocking the view in front quite a bit. spin the car off the circuit. Try to run it around the outside. Not going to be able to make that work. Maybe in the wet. Work our way up the hill then to try to set up the straightaway. Up through fourth gear. Keep it in fourth. Maybe go back down to third. We're being held up a little bit by this car in front. Able to get through the inside. And except for some first lap shenanigans, the AI overall is fairly competent. I have them set quite easy here in the wet. They're just so much better than in the dry, so the conditions really have a lot to do. Maybe my car was just not set up well enough for the wet. Struggled a bit with the car setups in this sim. By default, I think they've set up, especially these older cars, to be very understeery to hopefully avoid people looping them around like I almost did there. Still a wet patch there. Oh, a car getting squirrely, so the look of the track is not just for looks, it definitely affects how the car drives. Trying to get that throttle down and head down the hill towards the last corner. Hopefully these guys don't all pit coming here to start the final lap. Of course, the track getting pretty dry now, but with just one lap to go, there's really no need to switch to dry tires. Luckily, staying out will give us something to fight against. We'll start our last lap here at Interlagos, down into fourth gear for the first corner. Still not brave enough to take that as fast as I would in the total dry. Water kicking up onto the windshield as now work down the back straightaway towards the third turn. Sneak in, get a little bit of a slipstream, but not feeling brave enough to fly it on in there. The banked corners are so awesome around here. Down into third, down into second, leaving us a little space. I'll happily take that. Run a little wide on the exit, but able to get the position. No clue what position we're in. Down into third gear then. Now I'm driving the BT24 Brabham. The cars they have for this series aren't entirely accurate. There's two basically fictional cars which emulate some basic configurations that existed in the 74-75 season. Then there's a few real cars. They've got a McLaren, they've got a Lotus, and they've got this Brabham. So enough to drive to keep you interested, but not the historical accuracy that would be so good. Oh, and just running a little wide, that corner longer than I was remembering it. Down into first gear. Car hitting some rocks or something on the circuit. Maybe just scraping the track. Kicking up some spray. The changing conditions really do add a lot. They're supposed to be releasing a spa track soon for this, and I can't help but think how awesome that would be in a similar type of race to this, where we start out wet and work towards dry. It's now coming through the final corner, see if we can get a decent enough exit here. Try not to spin the car, as now we'll work towards the finish line. able to get around the outside of one car, down the inside of the other. And it doesn't matter what position finish in, but just that I finished the race. And I think I got 5th position overall. Some cars pitted, so it's not exactly fair. But Automobilista 2, I've had just a little bit of experience with this so far and having a lot of fun. I gotta try it out a bunch more. I'll probably do some additional videos on it and just try out some of the different circuits that exist. But I hope everybody enjoyed this, seeing what some of these new sims can offer for content is a lot of fun. As I explained in the Severe video, this era of Formula 1 is not covered at all in sims from the early mid-70s. I could not do I could do so much racing with this type of track and car, and so I'll try to do some more of that, maybe some of the 60s stuff as well. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.